In this video, I want to demonstrate how to create subprograms. And in this particular case, I want to take my end of tool code that I use on every tool and put it into a subprogram. So first, we have to ask ourselves, when do we want a subprogram? Anytime you type the same code more than once, that's a great time for a subprogram. So I'm going to scroll down here. And so far, we've programmed the roughing of this end of our part and the finishing. This end of tool code here, it doesn't matter what the tool did, we always end every tool with the same 4 lines. So I'm going to highlight it and cut it. Then I'm going to come down after the M30 and I'm going to paste it. And the reason I put it after the M30 is the first place most CNC machines look for a subprogram is after their M30. If they don't find it there, then they go into a specific area of memory and look for the subprogram. Where that is will really depend on who built your machine. So you need to look in your manual to see where it looks for subprograms. So next, I need to give the subprogram a name. Like any program, they need a name. So I'm going to start with the letter O. And I'm going to call this one 09000. And in brackets, I'm going to tell people that's my end of tool sub. So this will end every tool. Now I end programs with an M30 or M02, and I end subprograms with M99. So now I've created a subprogram, and here in the main program, I need to tell the machine to call up the subprogram. So I'm going to say M98 P9000. So M98 says go to this subprogram, and this is it here, and I want to do the same up here with this tool. So I'm going to highlight all this code, and I'm going to replace it with M98 P9000. And if I refresh my plot, nothing's changed. Cycle time is the same. Everything about the coding is the same. The only difference is I really didn't need to type this code out for every tool. I just put it in the end of tool subprogram and I said call this subprogram. So now that we've had a look at how we call a subprogram and how to write one and name it with the letter O and end it with the M99, I just want to explain how they work. So when the code gets to here, I'm just going to start plotting the code by stepping it forward. And we'll come down through all our code quickly here. And then when we get to the subprogram, M98 says go find the subprogram. So you notice it jumped down here and it's going to execute one line of code like it would for any other program. And when it gets to the M99, you'll notice M99 says return to the next line immediately after where you left. So the machine tracks where it was and it immediately returns to the next line of code and continue running from there. A word of caution. As I've stated, normally the order the code's in on a line doesn't matter. However, if I put any code on this line after the subprogram call, it will not be seen because it immediately goes into the subprogram. If I wanted code on the same line as the subprogram call, it would need to come here before I call my subprogram. Over the next few videos, we're going to examine subprograms in greater depth. But before we do, I want to point out, that's one thing I love about NC Plot. If I go to its Setup, Machine Configuration menu, and then I select the G&M codes, here I can change how my subprograms work. Because there's many different ways to call subprograms. I'm just working with this style, which is quite common in my area of the world. So you have to know how your machine calls a subprogram and use it properly. So I'm going to say OK because it's set up for the way my machine works. And that's how I call a subprogram.